Hi.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Took a little time to get back to this one. We had some long debate about which one is the right visa topic to jump in on, and instead of going for the whole picture, we decided to try and focus on a little bit more narrow view, just to be able to give a little bit more in-depth, and then we'll step through a couple different ones as we go in the future.
Yeah, so I think for a lot of people, when you think about applying for citizenship or permanent resident for a different country, it sounds pretty scary. It's a big project. We just want to let you know that it's not that hard. We've been through it. Some people spend like 10 grand to hire a lawyer to do it, but you can absolutely do it. It is a lot of work. It's sort of hard, but we did it on our own. We went through the process, and so there are a few options that you can look at according to your unique situation. We got skilled worker visa. There are also investment visa and work visa.
Or most student visas. Actually, a lot of different visas. Like I'll link down in the description. I have a link to the Australian one. It actually can be a little bit intimidating when you start seeing this huge list of a lot of the different numbers. But the reality is that most people that come, there's just a few that look to come in with. And the one that we're going to talk about the most detail in this show is the skilled worker visa. That's how we got here. And if I was going to recommend somebody to consider a visa, that's the number one best. It's got the best benefit attached to it. Yeah, both in the short term and the long term. You've got to put a bit more work into it than, like, say, if you had a student visa. You just get accepted to a school and you can get the student visa pretty straightforward. But then once your student time runs out, then you've got to worry about the transition process. The great thing about the PR is it takes a little bit longer, but it actually still goes pretty quick. And then by the time that you're done, you've got that PR status, which stands for permanent resident, which is completely, unlimited with what you want to do with it.
It's better than the green card in U.S.
Yeah. That's absolutely better than green card. It could be considered similar to green card, but it's more powerful than the green card.
Yeah, and you can bring your whole family here once you're accepted.
Yeah, so you just get one family member, so your husband, the wife, whichever one is accepted as the skilled entrant, then the whole family gets PR status. And the moment that you're PR status, you get full access to all the public schools, you get full access to the healthcare system, which is a complete government supported system. So you need any surgery, any healthcare, you go and it's going to be covered fully. Yeah. You also get like the unemployment benefit after you've been here for
2 years.
2 years. So you get basically all the social benefits. You get full access. The other thing you don't get is you don't get the right to vote right away.
Yeah.
But after 4 years, you can apply. It's a pretty straightforward process. You apply to get the full citizenship, and then you get the ability to vote. Yeah. But if you have children here when you're on PR, then the children can be born directly and immediately to Australian.
To be the citizen. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so let's talk about skilled worker visa. That's what we went through. Even in skilled worker visa category, there's so many subcategories. Like we went through the federal, so once we got granted the visa, we could live anywhere we wanted to. There's also the state-sponsored visa, which means you have to stay in that state for a few years, and then you can look to move elsewhere.
Yep.
And so accordingly, state-sponsored visa has lower requirements.
Yeah. But lower requirements. But each different state is going to have their own list that they maintain. So a position that one state might be looking for, another state may not.
Yeah.
And so that's the benefit, is that when you're looking to get in, there's a lot of professionals that they go out and they might take a more remote location, work there for several years, fulfill their state requirement, and then once you work through that time, then you can go work anywhere.
Yeah, so that's actually the first step if you want to apply for the skilled worker visa, is check out the list for the required professions here. They have a list for the whole country. Different state also have different lists. And now they added a new step that you have to express your interest. They call it the expression of interest. You have to fill out this online form of all your personal information, and then they evaluate your situation, and they decide if they want to give you an invitation to apply for the visa. When we applied, there was not this step.
Yeah, so can't speak to it in too much detail. We didn't go through it, so I don't want to give the wrong idea for it. But I still feel that in general it's a very straightforward process, and there are other essays and writings that I had to do in some later process that we'll talk about in a bit. But in general, I've found you don't need to write it like a college application where you're going through and you're trying to create this false story. You come in with a genuine interest of why you're looking to relocate. You don't have to build a sob story. You don't have to say, I'm politically persecuted. You're not an asylum seeker. You come through with an honest story about what is interesting about the country, what you plan on doing, and present a good, honest face. And the workers that we particularly worked with, I mean, everybody throughout the whole system were genuine people. You never felt like you were talking to a government robot.
They actually reply your emails when you have questions. It's so much better than dealing with UICIS. I think American or immigrants in America know what I'm talking about. So it's a very personal.
They're humans that
process.
Work with you.
Yeah. So the step 2 that I think you touched a bit on, the step 2 is work assessment. That's they require you to write essays on your work experience and performance to decide if you have the experience that you claim to have on a certain profession.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Like they come through, so they'll have the published list about what they're looking for, and it ranges from medical professionals, engineers, and one of the most in-demand things is actually meat packing. So I mean, it's a full range of professions that they look for. Yeah, chef is a really common one.
Electrician, plumber.
Oh, electrician is really hot. If you're a skilled electrician, boy, they'll roll out the red carpet to get you in. But yeah, so you come through the work assessment. It's basically really enjoyed the process, actually. I went through an organization called Engineers Australia, and they're not just a government agency to assess your skill. That's actually not a union, but it's a professional organization. And so once you're a member of Engineers Australia, that's intended to cover engineers in Australia. And so when you're talking to the people that are there that are responsible to do the assessment, it's not a government worker, it's a part of that skilled organization that they know the language, they know what they're looking for, they know who they're talking to. You come through with a lot of the documentation, the material, the proof, you write the essays, you send supporting documents. So for me, I sent in org charts, position write-ups, projects I worked on.
Case analysis?
Yeah, a few different
some cases.
Yeah, a few different cases. Some of the different analytic projects that I had worked on, and the people were pleasant throughout the entire thing.
Do you have any tips for the work assessment?
We're back! Yeah, so...
technical problem.
Yeah, I had some technical difficulties there. We just got back from the company Christmas party, Christmas and summertime, so we had a lot of...
15 degrees in summertime.
Yeah, yeah, so
pretty
December
cold.
time, it was 15. Americans would call that like 65, if my conversion math works right. Good time. But now we're back to try and finish the video. So tips to get the application done. The biggest one is when you're applying for the skill, it doesn't have to be that exact career, as long as you're in a related field. So I came in, like for example, I applied as an engineering manager, and that's a really broad definition. And when I applied, my primary role definition was product engineering manager. But then during the application process, I was a product assurance manager. And so as long as you're in a related field, then you can actually continue to apply that as your primary field. So don't worry about the application. As long as you're in a related field, you can get right in. And then once you arrive, you've got a PR. You can actually work in any career at all. It doesn't even have to be a related field.
You can work in a cafe or anything.
Yeah, so you could apply as an engineering manager if you wanted to, and then go be a tour guide, right?
Yeah.
So there's no requirements on you once you get the PR. So don't be concerned with that. So related field, then don't be concerned when you get here. If you have other experience that you prefer, like if you want to change careers, perfect opportunity. Don't be stressed that you're going to be required to stay in the same career. But then when you're doing it, you will be asked to go back and get some referral letters from people that you've worked with. I recommend don't go to your direct boss because you might take some time. So
for Americans, there's no favor for Americans for the visa application process. It typically takes 1 to 2 years to complete the process. So you might be looking at working in the same company for 2 more years.
Right, where you are, it doesn't matter if you're American or French or whatever, is that you plan that you're still going to need to keep your job for a minimum of a year or two.
Yeah.
And if your boss knows that you're going to leave, he might not be so friendly to you anymore, right? So it doesn't have to be your direct report boss. It could be a boss from a previous career. It could be any senior management level
Colleague,
person. Yeah, anybody that you trust. Because the process, like you said, can take 1 to 2 years.
Yeah.
The fastest it is
9
potentially
months.
to go. Yeah, it's about 9 months. Is if you're in the fast track. Some people do try to take it a little bit slower, just to be able to have time to make the adjustment, talk to their friends and family, get everything ready.
Yeah, you can pace it out.
Yeah, so a lot of people pace it out on their own. Expect the fastest to be about 9 months, but a lot of people tend to take 2 to 3 months.
The reason, I think we need to explain why would someone want to pace it out. The reason is once you get the visa granted, you have a limited time to get into the country. Otherwise, the visa is canceled.
Expires and you have to restart again. But I mean, when it goes through, and we'll skip over. You'll learn once you get into it. This is all detail that you'll know. 10 ways from Sunday. But you'll get in. You'll have a short stay entry. You'll come in. You'll need to do that within a window
to activate the visa.
It activates it, and then once it's activated, then you can go back home, or you can just stay. But then you can go back home, get your affairs in order, and then you come back within 6 months.
I can't remember, maybe a year.
Yeah, but then you come back again, and once you're in that second time for your long stay, then you're good.
Yeah.
So
4 years later, get your citizenship.
Yeah, and then after you're in for a total of 4 years. So if you travel back home for 6 months, right, the clock keeps extending out.
Yeah.
So then the last thing to go to is the visa application. So the document preparation.
That's pretty straightforward. All the information needed is on the immigration website. They are pretty detailed, listing out what is required. It's just a lot of work preparing all kinds of documents. For example, you need everything certified and scanned, and you need health assessment and police record. And do be aware that the police record is needed from every country you've lived for over 5 years. So if you've moved around, that could be potentially a problem, and you need to get your fingerprints done. It's just paperwork.
Yeah, it's a lot of paperwork, and it ends up being a lot of footwork too. So if there's the police reports, you've got a lot of times go down, talk to the people, and so it's not just as simple as typing something out. You've got to contact a lot of other groups to get it done. Then, the certification, depending on where you live, can be a problem. In the U.S., it's pretty easy. You just go to a bank and you can get a notary. Yeah. But in other countries, you've got to go through a process to find a registered notary. Same thing with the health assessment. You can't just go to your GP. You're going to have to go to a certain approved clinic to get it done. And then those results have to be certified or direct submitted. Yeah. So it's a lengthy process, but you've got time to get it done. You talk to the right people.
Yeah, and the cost, I remember when we were doing it, the cost was about $6,000-7,000
For the application or for the stuff to get done?
For the application. The stuff might be another 1,000. So it should be under 10K. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you take a look at that, like the expense of moving, right? You're gonna end up getting through that. So that consider that an investment going into, you know, the new life that you're going to get access to, because you take a look at that cost. You know, we talked about before some of the benefits that you get. You're going to get access to education. You're going to get access to healthcare.
Right.
You're going to get access to the social system.
They're all free.
Yeah, so that the any money that you put into it, you're going to get that benefit back out for it.
That's right. Yep. So that summarizes.
That summarizes. So what we've covered now is the 189, the skilled migration visa. I strongly recommend it. It is one of the ones that has the least hurdles to go over at the end. And it's got some of the best benefits right when you arrive. Like once you're in, you're done. As opposed to some of the other visas, you've got steps that you need to go through at the tail end to finally get citizenship or to get the permanent resident status. So that's what we did. Strongly recommended.
Yep.
There's a lot of other
awesome.
advisors that you can pay to help you. It can be a bit expensive, but don't want to discourage you. It's the kind of thing that you absolutely can maintain yourself. And in some cases, a lot of cases, like the people that you're working through in the government bureau are just as friendly and just as helpful as some of the people that you'll hire to help you out. Yeah. So I think that's about it. We've got
to see
crying baby in the other room. So
we hope to see more Americans moving
here. Yeah. So we've got a nice little group of community here, and it's growing every day. We've got more and more Americans, hoping to see a few more. All right, guys. Real quick, we went through that fast. I think we got it done. Thanks, everybody. See you next time.